Hi, everybody. This is Mike Sansone with Reaching Hearts, and I'm your Love Muscles coach. Thank you for coming and joining us today. I appreciate you being aware that today's Friday. In America, it's 4th of July. I don't expect many fireworks this morning, but maybe tonight when I'm sleeping. So, today we're going to deep dive into what I call the awareness love muscle. Um, so what is the awareness love muscle? The awareness muscle is the ability to be fully present and attentive to ourselves, to others, and to our surroundings. It involves consciously noticing what's going on with us. What are our thoughts? What are our feelings? And slowing things down and just being aware what's going on inside and then around us, what are other people's experiences? What are their faces telling us? What is their body language telling us? Our environment, recognizing patterns of things and associating, not making a judgment, but just associating and seeing what's familiar. When we strengthen our awareness muscles, we actually create space for deeper understanding and more meaningful connections with other people. Hopefully, those close to us, but also those not yet close to us. And here's why awareness matters in our relationships. When we practice awareness in our relationships, we see beyond the surface behaviors. I was talking with somebody recently who said they can't stand small talk. She's pregnant, so a lot of people are asking her, "How are you feeling?" It's a bigger question now than it is in regular circumstances, but that small talk really upsets her. Maybe it's because she's got a lot going on in her life. But still, we need to look beyond the surface behaviors of the other people around us, but also of ourselves to understand underlying needs and feelings, or even if that's something potential. And that's what awareness helps us do to recognize patterns that may be helping or hurting some of our connections and close people. Notice small moments that might otherwise pass us by, things that we don't say simple thank yous for. Uh, Somebody might open a door or pick up a plate on their way by, and sometimes we don't say thank you. And those little thank yous, those small moments can add up. And that's being aware. Catching misunderstandings before they escalate and making sure that we voice that a misunderstanding or misconception and just say, "Hey, what's going on? Am I off base here?" Um, and just kind of bringing it up and having a discussion about it and appreciate the richness of our shared experiences. If you're going on a trip or if you both, you and somebody else close to you, share a moment together, appreciate and show appreciation for those rich moments. And we can discuss what a weak awareness muscle is and what a strong awareness muscle is and kind of go over some of that. I do have somebody asked me recently on one of the social channels, isn't awareness simply mindfulness? Is it just another word? And I do think that they get interchanged quite a bit, but I think they are different. Um, and I've got some notes here I want to discuss because it is important to understand the differences. And before I forget, I want to try this. I'm still kind of new at all this, but give me a shout out to where you're from because I'm about to get in a car and travel northwest. No, not that one. Oh, this one. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska today. And tomorrow's Saturday, right? Yeah, I'm aware. Uh, but I'm going to be traveling to the Northwest. And if you're in the Northwest, maybe I'll be driving through your town. I'll honk the horn and wave on the way by, unless it's like 2 in the morning. Then I won't honk the horn. I'll just wave. The difference between mindfulness and awareness, is there a difference? I think you've heard the words. I know I have used interchangeably, and they're not quite the same. They're like cousins. They're kind of related, connected, often found together, but I think they build upon each other. So let's break these down in a heart centered way. Awareness, the way I look at it, maybe you do too, awareness is a gentle noticing. Um, it's sort of like our natural ability to notice what's going on, both inside of us and all around us. It's that soft hum in the background, not your tinnitus, but the soft hum in the background that's telling you, hey, something's going on in this room. A little bit of tension in here. You ever walk into a room like that? Or the room got quiet all of a sudden, and you look around and see what's changed or who came in the room. Sometimes awareness can be loud and clear, and other times it's a little bit more subtle, just a gut feeling or something like that. Sort of sensing your partner's or your kid's mood shift, noticing your child lingering a little longer than usual. It doesn't always mean you're fully focused on that thing, but it's on your radar. And maybe being self aware, you start to get more aware of the things around you. Um, so it's like in the back of your mind until it becomes to the front of your mind. I like to think of awareness as a light that's always on, but you don't have to stare at it for it to be working. Mindfulness is what I call a loving focus. Mindfulness is more intentional. It's when we get It's when we gently turn the present moment on with curiosity and care. It's like awareness has that hum in the back of our head. You know something's going on. Mindfulness kind of brings us everything into focus so you can figure out what that is. You're being mindful when you pause during a stressful moment to notice your breath. And frankly, when you have a stressful moment, sometimes you need that's good awareness, but sometimes the mindfulness is that deep breath, right? When you sit with a feeling instead of shoving it away, when you listen to your loved one, not just with your ears, but with your full presence, not ready to respond, but ready to receive. Mindfulness is like awareness with purpose. It's awareness with heart. So really a couple of differences. Mindfulness is never judgmental. Awareness might be free of judgment, but then sometimes it might not be because you're connecting patterns. Mindfulness is rooted in the present. Awareness can span the past, the present, and the future. Um, Mindfulness is a practice, where awareness is kind of a state of being. Mindfulness can deepen connections, and awareness opens the door to noticing more. One simple way to think of the differences: awareness can say, I notice there's tension in the room, or I notice there's something different, something changing in this space. Mindfulness is saying, I'm going to pause and gently explore what this tension, what this change is trying to tell me without blame and without fear. So you can be aware without being mindful, but you really can't be mindful without being aware. Mindfulness is a beautiful way to strengthen your awareness muscle. It helps you slow down, it helps you tune in and stay connected to yourself and to the people you love. And that's the kind of attention that builds a super love. So there is a difference between mindfulness and awareness. Because this has been Awareness Week, I've thought a lot about awareness. And I want to bring up on this computer here, over here, something I wrote recently. So recently, it was this morning. And as soon as that comes up, here it comes. I was thinking and wondering about awareness. And I wondered, to be great at awareness, to build a strong awareness muscle, first, you kind of have to have a great self awareness. And I was going to write just that. And then I started thinking about other feelings and other muscles. Don't we first have to have self patience to have lasting patience with others? Don't we first have to be completely self honest if we hope to be honest with everybody? And before true forgiveness, don't we first need self forgiveness? And isn't it also true that really, before we can give unconditional love, we must first have unconditional love for ourselves? It's hard sometimes when we don't have love for ourselves to love anybody else, or be patient with ourselves to be patient with others and circumstances, or to be aware of others unless we're first aware of ourselves. So I think most of these muscles you first must build from within. Um, it's a term that probably gets overused, but really, awareness and love and patience and all our love muscles are first and foremost an inside job. If we want to get really good at something in how we treat others and how others treat us, we must first get really good at treating ourselves like that. Next week is playfulness. So I can hardly wait. Is there such a thing as self playfulness? I guarantee there is. I just made myself giggle, right? So, um, so how do we go about recognizing if our awareness muscle is a weak muscle and if it's a strong muscle? So, a weak awareness muscle is being caught off guard by our own emotional reactions. You know, if you've read any of my work, you know that I strongly believe that love is first a decision. It might be immediately followed by great feelings, but as we start to love someone or something or even a pet, I think we first must decide, and then we can give our permission to ourselves to feel. But love is first a decision. And I think as emotions start to come up, we're going to benefit ourselves to be aware of what that emotion is and what's triggering that emotion and how do we respond instead of react. Um, I know that if a doctor were to tell me, I prescribed this medicine for you and there's a reaction, that's usually not a good thing. But when a doctor tells me I'm responding to the medicine, that's usually a positive thing. And I think the same thing is true with emotions. When we respond to some trigger or circumstance beyond our control, we're better off at that. But when we react, knee jerk reaction, um, I think that's a lack of awareness. Excuse me. I think when we misread others' feelings or intentions, uh, we're not we're not listening well enough. We're not receiving what they're saying in a slower manner. That we're too quick to respond, and that could be a lack of awareness. So taking a deep breath and slowing things down in our mind and our heart gives us the ability to be a little bit stronger in our emotions. Missing important cues in conversations, how somebody might raise an eyebrow or purse their lips or fold their arms all of a sudden. I mean, these are conversational cues that if we're aware, if we have a strong awareness muscle, we're going to recognize these things. And if you find yourself checked out or zoning out when somebody's speaking, you're starting to think about what's your to do list? Did you cash that check or send that check? Things like that. You're zoning out, and a strong awareness muscle can bring you back into focus. And again, feeling constantly surprised. Um, Once in a while, it's okay, but to be constantly surprised is probably a little bit of a lack of awareness. And we'll share some exercises and maybe even some journal prompts a little bit down the road in this show. Signs of a strong awareness muscle would be to notice subtle shifts in your emotional state, and being able to articulate it. Not that you have to say anything, but at least you're aware in your own mind and your own heart what's going on. So that's important. Picking up on nonverbal cues from the others. We spoke a little bit about that in the weaknesses, but by noticing those things, that's a strong awareness muscle. Again, being able to name your feelings for yourself and for others with accuracy, that's good, strong awareness. Recognizing when you're making assumptions. I'm telling you, I'm not going to, I think we've all heard what assumptions, when you break that word down, what it could mean. But when you're making assumptions, you're being judgmental. And I think mindfulness, especially, there's not a lot of judgment. There's not a lot of compassion when you're making judgments. And I want to share with you one of my favorite quotes. This is from Coach Phil Jackson, world champion many times with the Chicago Bulls and the Los Angeles Lakers. He says that awareness is the seed of compassion. And he said a little bit more. He says it's as we begin to notice ourselves and others, just as we are at, at our core without judgment, compassion begins to flow naturally. And I think, see me. Oh, there I am. I thought I disappeared. I'd have a whole new career. But awareness is the seed of compassion. And I think that's important that when we have compassion, everything seems to flow a little bit more naturally. So the awareness muscle is part of, and you can see it over here, that little build better love muscles. That's a logo of a couple of things. Number one, it's a logo of the course I've built, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that, but it's also about the coaching business I'm starting. And I'll tell you a little bit about a new project before we end today. But I want to talk to you about the Build Better Love Muscles online course. And if you want to learn about it, there's the website right there. It was on the screen, right there on the screen. Go to learn.buildbetterlovemuscles.com. What this course is, there's text-based learning, there are presentations, there's some videos that we're adding, there's handouts and workbooks and journal prompts, um, quotes. There's some great information on over 40 love muscles and building. It seems like every day I say, hey, that's a love muscle. Um, so we're adding to it all the time. There's a private community that you get to be a part of. If you want to know more about the Build Better Love Muscles course, we're also opening a payment plan, and that'll launch, I think, on Monday. So if you want to learn more about our course, feel free to go. The thing about the course that I love is that if you're having a challenge right now with, as an example, awareness, that's a love muscle. You go study the awareness part. And then in 6 months from now, If you're having a little bit of challenge with patience, go study more on patience. And when you lost your sense of humor, I don't know where you put it, but you can study that in the course. So learn.buildbetterlovemuscles.com for more on that course. So let's talk about some exercises, I think. Yeah. Let's talk about some exercises that you can build your love muscle with. Number one is what I call the 3 breath check-in. And when you're in an important conversation and you're aware that this is important, and I hope you do, you're more aware of important conversations and the small talk. Just take a few deep breaths in through your nose, hold it, let it go. Check in with yourself during this breathing. And before you respond, if somebody lays something heavy on you, take a breath and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What might the other person be feeling? So, breath number one, what am I feeling right now? Breath number two, what might the other person be feeling right now? And then, if it's an appropriate time, ask yourself on breath number three, what actually is being asked or needed here? And do I need to clarify that with a question? Maybe you take that third breath and you have no clue what's being asked of you. And that's when you say, so you can be more aware, what are you asking from me right now? What do you need? How can I help this situation? And that is the 3 breath check in. Another thing you could do during a heavy conversation, or what's been called in the past as a crucial or critical conversation, is what I call a body scan. And this might take a couple of minutes. Look at their hands, look at the eyes, do a mental scan of your own body. How are my hands? If I'm sitting like this and somebody's talking to me, they're not going to be so open. I don't know if you can see if my arms are folded. If I'm sitting like this and you're talking to me, you're not going to be too open to, and you're not going to think that I'm open. So it's better if I take a minute or two and say, okay, how am I positioned? I got to open my arms, have my feet flat on the floor, raise my eyebrows. I don't want my resting uh, ugly face. No comments. Uh, my resting face to be an ugly face. I want it to be a little bit more open. And then you do the same thing with the person you're talking to, and that's the body scan. And these exercises are some of the kinds of exercises that you'll find in the Build Better Love Muscles course. A curiosity question. Last week was a curiosity week, but we're not limited to a week. Curiosity is something that could run amok. Where is amok? I never. Anyway, that's on the playfulness week. A curiosity question. When you notice yourself making a judgment or assumption, you can stop right there and ask yourself, what else is going on here? Um, Maybe a wonder and look under type of thing that I've. It's a phrase that I've learned in relationship coaching. This simple practice creates space for multiple perspectives and deeper understanding. And you could even ask to clarify, is there something deeper going on here? And raise your eyebrows, and maybe that kind of slows the other person down, because you could have a strong awareness muscle talking with somebody with a weak awareness muscle. But with clarifying questions, you could bring them into the strong awareness arena so that they're a little bit more aware too. Also, environmental awareness. I've done a lot of work with at risk youth, and one thing that I recognize is when teenagers, especially teenage guys, and these are at risk guys, people who were adjudicated as teenagers, when they had an audience, I don't know. their battery was a little bit charged. So sometimes we would take the audience away. That environmental awareness allowed us to better influence the emotions in the room, especially with the one that was dysregulated. So have a little bit of a emotional awareness, and you could do this even when there isn't a crucial conversation. Every once in a while, just take a minute, not even a minute, 20 seconds, and look around the room and see how things are going. When I worked in senior living, I would go through the property, whether it's before we were serving a meal, before an activity, and I'd look around and I'd say, what's missing or what's needed? What's next? And these are all awareness type questions. You can do that in your own home. Do you got your keys? You got your phone? You got your lunch? These are all awareness questions, clarifying questions. And environmental awareness is as important as conversational awareness. So these are good exercises. Also, some journal prompts. I don't know if you keep a journal, but journal prompts that'll help you develop awareness. Are you noticing patterns? What kind of patterns are you noticing in your relationships that maybe you haven't been aware of recently? And if by asking the question, then tomorrow when you wake up and you get going, you might start becoming more aware of patterns in some of your relationships. Always be cognizant or aware of what's going on with your body, especially when dealing with other people. I know even when I'm driving in commute traffic, I still do 10 and 2. Some people ask me, do we still have 10 and 2? Well, I do because I want to be able to maneuver. Nothing's going on, but I want to make sure I'm ready. I don't want to be surprised. That I believe is good awareness rather than sitting with one hand back here and drinking my cup of coffee. What am I aware of? Nothing. Uh, so, what are the blind spots I have? Feedback, with people I work with, or somebody gives me feedback. I want to be able to understand if it's positive or negative. Where are my blind spots? That's good awareness. When we're not aware, we're like this. But when we're aware, we've got a little bit better peripheral vision, right? So that's these are a couple of things about awareness. And I want to share one other thing with you. Brand new, hot off the presses is our, well, here, let me do this different. I'll pretend like I'm holding it. This is our awareness love muscle book. It's 10 to 15 pages. And in the description below, you'll see a link for our premium love muscle workbook. There's one for every love muscle. It debuts the week this live show is when it debuts publicly, though I've linked it to a couple of Medium articles. You can find me on Substack. I've done it there. Twitter. Well, it's not Twitter anymore. But anyway, the Love Muscles workbook is filled with different journal prompts, different exercises, aside from what we've talked about here. It gives you a better understanding of awareness, especially in regards with relationships and things like that. This is not in the Build Better Love Muscles course. That's why it's premium and on its own. But there are even exercises. And here's two others. And these exercises will help you build your love muscle even stronger. And you can find that a link in the description. Right? See? I'm learning all the technology here. Oh, look at that. I didn't know that happened. Let's try that again. I do it. Oh, and then there's a thought cloud. Had no idea. So let's talk about I don't know if any of you under talk about pop music. No, that's a song from a long time ago, a one-hit wonder that I happen to memorize. Let's talk about the role of awareness in enhancing relationships. The concept of awareness plays a crucial role in enhancing our relationships, serving as a foundation for effective communication and deeper connections. By cultivating awareness, individuals can better understand themselves and their partners, leading to more fulfilling interaction. I mean, even just asking each other, hey, everything good? How can I help? How can I support? These are questions that help build awareness because when they respond, now you know. And if they respond, nothing, I'm fine, I'm okay, and their face doesn't look okay, that's the time to say, well, I know you say you're okay, but your face is beautiful as it is, might not be acting okay. So what's going on? Talk to me. Or pick a time. Come and talk to me anytime. Uh, these awareness moments are important in relationships. Self awareness is super important. We touched base on this earlier. This is the ability to recognize and understand how your emotions and reactions act out. In relationships, this awareness enables you to identify your own personal triggers that may lead to conflict. Again, awareness allows you to not be surprised. Um, if I'm getting together with some people I know see some things different, how am I going to respond? I'm going to prepare that response before I ever get to that meeting. And this way, if they bring something up that may trigger me, I've already developed a nice, calm, loving response that'll make sure that as they try to engage, I'm not picking up the rope. We're not going to play tug of war. And I usually say, I appreciate you sharing that with me. That's an interesting perspective. And if they ask me for my perspective, I might say something, again, because I know it's a trigger, I might say something, I need to ponder this a little bit more. Thank you for asking. I'll let you know when I come up with something. I don't need to engage. There's nothing that says I have to have an opinion about everything. And even though I may have that opinion, there's nothing that says I have to share that out. So you can also enhance empathy through awareness. Remember, we said earlier that awareness is a seed of compassion. I think empathy is the ability to understand and share feelings of another. Awareness enhances empathy by allowing you to listen actively to your partner's concern. You can be aware if you're not listening. In fact, you should be aware if you're not listening. If your mind has gone off to whether you're paying your bills or your to-do list or what you got to do get at the store for dinner, you aren't listening. And you should be aware of that and then refocus. And I know you self-talk. I self-talk all the time. And sometimes I get in arguments with myself. No, I don't anymore. So listen actively, listen with full face features, even if you have to wiggle your ears or your eyebrows just to stay focused. Recognize their nonverbal cues, recognize your own nonverbal cues and undertones. Um, I can get sarcastic at times, as you may know, but when I'm listening to somebody, I've learned it's some things or many things are better left unsaid. Responding with compassion rather than defensiveness. If you think you're going to get defensive, and again, this is where self awareness is so important. If you think you're getting defensive, slow things down in your brain and your heart and respond with compassion. And this is how your awareness muscle can be of great assistance to you. A conscious presence in your communication is very important. This is being fully engaged through interactions that involves minimizing distractions. I mean, if we were in a conversation and I had the phone up here and I was going, oh, and even if I was looking at it, the best thing to do is set it aside, put it in a drawer, no distractions. Um, so you try to minimize distractions to focus on the conversation. You still want to be open minded, but you definitely want to be laser like. Practicing mindfulness and awareness techniques to stay grounded and validating the partner's feelings and viewpoints, which strengthens connections. And one of the best ways to do this is with outwards. Oh, right? Mm, hmm. Simple things like that show the other person that you're listening. And building trust through awareness. Awareness fosters an environment of trust in relationships. When partners are aware of each other's needs and boundaries, it leads to open and honest dialogue about desires and concerns. And you can find these out just by asking simple, non judgmental questions. You increase your reliability and accountability. I love that people love to come and talk with me. And part of that is how I consider listening to be like a batting practice pitcher. I'm the pitcher, you're the hitter. If you want to say something, even if you've told me that before, I want you to be able to practice. Unless it's in a legal situation, um, again, with at risk youth, I didn't want them to practice because then they got better at their stories. But with people, I want them to be able to tell me a story a second time. I love that we're engaged. I love that they get to talk some more and talk again because I don't know how many people don't listen to them. So I want to be one of those people that listen to them. So listening and awareness and being able to focus when they're talking can build trust and reliability. A safe space for vulnerability and emotional expressions. Awareness allows for that. And you should be aware when people step into a vulnerable space. And man, guard that. Create that safe space for them, and they will always come to you. So that's a couple of things about awareness. Of course, if you have any questions, you can put a comment in the. I have a sign that comes up and tells me when something's going on. I want to talk to you about a new thing that we're going to launch. And if you have any thoughts on this, you can email me at mike@mikesansone.com or put something in the chat. I won't publish these answers up on the screen, but we're doing something called problem solvers. Um, and I don't have any examples with me, but the problem solvers is going to be a weekly live stream, not on Fridays at 10 o'clock in the morning, because we already do one. But it'll probably be a little bit closer to an evening or a late afternoon. I want to give more people an opportunity. Um, but in our relationships, whether it be with children or our partners or friends, sometimes our neighbors, what are some of the communication challenges? They're stonewalling me, or they're ghosting me, intimacy issues. And there are so many different types of intimacy, from physical to emotional to spiritual to financial. We can talk about some of that stuff. And each week, I'm going to have a problem solver, and we're going to discuss that for about an hour. I will have um, sometimes maybe a guest from somebody somewhere in the world, right? They'd have to be in this world, right? It'd be great if I could talk to somebody like from 20 centuries ago, but they're not on social media, are they? But we will have Problem solvers, which will include an article, a video, and probably a PDF. There'll be live streams, and there'll even be, if it's really a situation where you need some coaching, a love muscle coaching, basically relationship stuff, I'll be happy to engage in a one on one conversation, charging an hourly rate. So that's going to become available probably, and I'm looking at my calendar, probably middle of this month. Maybe I'll launch it on my birthday. What's that here? July 26th. That's when that is. So I'll probably launch it a little bit before that. So remember, awareness isn't about perfect attention at all times. It's about the practice of returning to presence again and again. Each time you notice you've drifted away from awareness and gently bring yourself back, you're strengthening this essential love muscle. And I'm not even going to give you a pop quiz and ask you when my birthday is. No. The beauty of awareness is that it doesn't require you to change anything right away. Simply noticing with kindness and curiosity is transformative in itself. I'm looking at stuff and seeing what I might have missed. I have a lot of articles that I've written on Medium that I printed out, talking about the impact of awareness and communication and connection. Let's see what else I can talk to you about. Oh, I know. So there's a couple of during a week, a love muscle week, like this was awareness week. On the weekends, though I might not be able to do it this weekend because I'm traveling, but I'll find time. I like to write down a bunch of shorts that I post on either Substack or LinkedIn, Facebook, and I want to read some of these to you. Number one, awareness, and this is what we've talked about a lot today. Awareness begins with you, or in my case, me. The first step to a stronger relationship isn't noticing others, it's noticing yourself. Awareness of your own emotions, your own tension, and reactions will give you a chance to choose your response instead of reacting on autopilot. And frankly, by doing that, you'll be modeling self awareness to the people you're in front of, whether it's your children or students, people you work with, or just friends that you're talking with. And sooner or later, they're going to ask you, how do you do that? And that your modeling self awareness will allow you to lead others into that same thing, which improves all your relationships. Notice without judgment. Awareness doesn't mean you have to fix things or label things. Simply noticing your partner's tone or your child's body language, your neighbor's quietness, and not waving to you can be enough to open a door to connection. Remember, awareness always calms the storm. Tension often escalates when we're unaware of what is stirring underneath. A moment of awareness, a deep breath, a check in can shift a conflict into calm before harsh words ever take over. Awareness creates safety. When people feel seen and understood without being analyzed or corrected, they're more likely to feel safe. And that safety comes from your presence, your tone, your gentle attention, not your solutions. Awareness is actually a form of respect. Looking up from your screen, making eye contact, turning in instead of turning out. These small acts say, you matter to me. Awareness is how love shows up in everyday moments, even if you have no words to share. Awareness helps you correct course. In relationships, we all miss things, but when you're practicing awareness, you can catch yourself quicker. You can apologize, or make things up. Course correct. A side you didn't notice, a cold shoulder you almost ignored, and now you can lean in because you corrected course. Awareness helps you prevent assumptions. When you stay curious and aware, you're less likely to fill in the blanks with your own fears or story. You can ask instead of assume, and that makes all the difference. And I said this earlier a couple of times, being aware of your own body language, if you just start there and practice that for some time, if you become more aware of your body language, that strengthens your love muscle. That strengthens your awareness muscle. And then you can build on top of that. Checking for comments. I think this has been a wonderful conversation, and I appreciate you coming in. Remember, if you missed any part of this, this live stream will stay live. I'll probably edit that part out where it counted down to the uh, the launch of the show, but that'll probably take a little while. So if you need to watch a replay, just kind of skip over that. And I appreciate you coming. Next week is Playfulness Week. Again, Friday morning at 10 o'clock. I'll be in the Pacific Northwest. So I don't know. Maybe we'll play around. I appreciate you coming. This is Mike Sansone with Reaching Hearts, your Love Muscles coach. And I thank you. Have a wonderful 4th of July and a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next time. Mwah.